Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
We think pretty is pretty important in all things in beauty. Welcome to RadioAMB, designed for those who want to live a long and vibrant life. And welcome to 2018. We're excited about a new year. I'm Patty Schmucker, your host and somebody who's been in the beauty industry for over 40 years. RadioAMB stands for American-Made Beauty, and it's where we tell the secrets behind the making of health and beauty products. Our program sponsor today is Alex and Tay Customized Nail Color. You can snap a picture, upload the photo, and make your own customized nail color. Unleash over 16 million different shades of color. Order it on Monday, have it on Friday. Go to AmericanMadeBeauty.com to find another one of our verified brands. You know, last year I had an incredible opportunity to go to Italy. Every year we go to the Super Bowl of the beauty industry that happens in Bologna, Italy. And on my way back from Italy, I had the good fortune of bumping into this very good-looking, tall gentleman who, like myself, was standing in line for hours upon hours upon hours because we were actually caught in Paris. There was a shooting that had happened in Brussels that year. And we were caught in Paris, and we stood in line for many hours. And in that process, we began talking, and this gentleman, for those of you that don't know me, I'm very small. So this guy being huge, we're like, you know, I feel like a little munchkin. But he was so open and so gentle that I just felt really comfortable in talking with him. So fast forward now 2 years later, I've had the good fortune of getting to know Luke Wessman, who is a celebrity tattoo artist. He travels all around the world and has done some amazing things that came from that 24-hour flight delay where I learned about his journey to discover his passion about the lost art of the gentleman and his love for tattooing and being able to translate his vision for art onto the body. So I'm just delighted to have Luke back with us today because he's doing some incredible things, including working with me on a new brand. So welcome, Luke. I'm delighted to have you with us.
Hi, Patty. What a wonderful introduction. It's so nice to hear your voice and talk with you publicly.
So for those that didn't have a chance to hear your story back, I think it's been over a year ago that we did your program, and you can also go back in our archives to hear the full story. But let's do a quick overview and tell our audience a little bit about how you got started and who you are today.
Okay. Well, my journey into finding my way into tattooing and the tattoo culture has got a lot of ups and downs, and it's really hard to kind of sum it up really quick. I'll do it as fast as I can.
Don't worry. The emphasis is not on quick.
Okay. Well, I mean, I grew up with hippie parents that were real creative people and loving people, and kind of taught me. I think what I learned most from them was creativity and to be aware and creative. So I had a creativity kind of flowing through my veins as a young kid and was always doing art, and then kind of found myself in a rougher area in San Diego County where there was just lots of gangs. And as a skinny young kid and a nice kid, I started to get tattooed. I kind of got them to look tough, so I always described it as armor back then. Mm-hmm. You really, you try to look meaner as just a protection because that's just kind of where I came out in the world. I was growing up around all that stuff. So through that, I really found the art form of it, and this was the end of the 90s. I just kind of, got past the initial kind of tough guy thing, and then realized there's this incredible subculture that's filled with artists and travelers and this incredible, magical, really, world. Then it was a little more hidden. Now we have the TV shows and museum exhibits, which we can get into later. So I had a guy that I just became friends with that was doing tattoos on me that asked if I wanted to learn. And at the time, I think I was about 17, 18, and thought about it for a couple weeks and decided to jump in. And so I jumped in really hard and ended up, been doing it the last 20 years. I owned a business in downtown San Diego in the gas lamp for 10 of those years. I specifically worked in Miami with the guys that did Miami Inc. and had a really successful TV show. Helped them run their shop for 4 or 5 years, and then came back to San Diego and reinvented myself, moved my business, and kept the shop I owned with a partner. And then I moved to New York and helped them do a show called New York Inc. And so dabbled a little bit on television, but just kind of kept plugging away at discovering new levels of art and trying to enhance my abilities along the way. And then now that I'm older, there's so much in between. I feel like I'm skipping so much. But now that I'm older, I'm looking for new ways to be a better businessman and not just an artist, which is a great battle, the businessman versus the artist.
Right. Now, but let's fill in a little bit of the gaps. It must have been incredibly exciting when tattooing really emerged as that hidden subculture, as you said, and starting to do the Miami Inc. and the New York Inc. Tell us a little bit about that experience in terms of being part of bringing tattooing out into the light.
You know what? It's an interesting thing because you would think that tattooers would be excited about that, but it's such a unique profession, and everyone that is an artist has came into it differently. There's this really tough protection over the culture. So a lot of our peers, especially when the shows first started, were really kind of negative and protective over it and didn't want it, the TV to show too much or show it the wrong way. And I think even to this day, a lot of them still feel like that, even though it's it's softened up a little bit. But for me personally, I loved it. I didn't want to, be seen as a criminal. I wanted people to see the beauty of the art form and maybe the depth of it and the reasons why people were getting them. And there's so many layers to it, even though it is a real extreme art form. So I was excited. I was excited about the boom. But there's a lot of artists even today that are kind of grumpy and wish it wouldn't be as popular, because as with popularity comes a lot of other things. So it loses a little bit of that mystery magic, but also gains so much more.
Right, exactly. And in that process, and we'll talk a little bit more about that world of tattooing later on in the show, but tell us a little bit about some of the, things that you've done as projects that one wouldn't really connect with being a tattoo artist. I mean, you've done some very interesting things that got my attention when we met a few years ago.
One of my biggest things, and I actually speak at high schools for branding as an artist, and I tell kids to say yes to opportunity and say yes to everything until you get to a place where you can kind of say no to some things. But so anytime something that came across my table as a project or an art show or an adventure, I would just say yes. So I found myself, painting huge eggs for big charities next to, some of the biggest artists in the world, like I can't even think of anybody right now. I'm having a brain fart. But aside from just incredible art shows, I found myself doing some commercials for Chevy and for taking trips for charity to Israel, working in a museum in Israel. Gosh, what else? I mean, I feel like I'm doing rides for AIDS charities.
Well, you designed some things for a beauty brand.
Yeah. I really had a really beautiful relationship blossom with Kiehl's. I mean, one of the great skincare brands of our time, and and a brand that's been around for a long time, they approached me to design some artwork for some of their projects, and I just ended up having a really great relationship with them and saw some of my artwork even on the New York Stock Exchange during some of their charity events. And the amount of things that I've gotten myself into is pretty amazing, especially without having an agent or a manager.
And this year you have a very special event that actually is happening next week from when people are listening to this show. It'll be happening in L.A. Tell us a little bit about the Natural History Museum show.
So the Natural History Museum show just kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't really expect to see tattooing kind of represented on that scale this soon. But I was approached by a lady that works for the museum, and she had just reached out to me and said that she was putting together an exhibit, a tattoo exhibit that had traveled through Paris, Canada, the museum in Canada, the Field Museum in Chicago, and so this tattoo exhibit has traveled all the way to L.A., and as it's traveled, it's gained momentum, popularity. It's done extremely well in each one of these accredited museums. So it landed in L.A. So in L.A., they reached out to some local well-known tattooers, luckily including myself, to be a part of the exhibit, to be a live part. So aside from all the artwork that they have on display, they built a tattoo parlor in the exhibit. So during the weekends, during this exhibit, they're having selected artists do tattoos for the day. So for Saturday and Sunday of each weekend during the exhibit, they've gotten a local artist that they found or heard about to work. So in January, I'll be doing my weekend, January 13th and 14th. I'll be sitting in a live. I'll be tattooing live in an exhibit in a natural history museum, and it's just really incredible for the tattoo culture to come that far.
Very, very cool. And so not only are you an artist, but you will be an art subject. You'll be the subject of art.
Yeah, people will be gleaming over my shoulders the whole day.
That's exciting. And so, do you have a sense of what are some of the elements of the exhibit other than the artist doing live work?
Yeah, there's a handful of artists that had done actual kind of tattoo artwork on prosthetics. So there'll be like a bunch of limbs, like arms that have really lifelike appearance, that have like full sleeve of tattoos, and they have back pieces that are on display, beautifully done by different artists and different styles. There'll be stuff that's Japanese, there'll be stuff that's Polynesian, there'll be traditional Americana, and it's really displayed beautifully. And I think as most people kind of are a little bit interested or a lot interested in tattooing, to go look at the museum, it's really insightful and beautiful.
And when you, as you were starting to get involved with this particular project and looking at the various different forms of tattooing, does that have an influence on the way you see your work or the kinds of art that you begin to create as a result of seeing some of that?
Yes, I tattoo in a specific style, which is like really Americana, and they call it traditional. And it was kind of like tied to sailors and, popular tattoos with the military and, pinup girls, roses, stuff like that. So the more I'm exposed, like directly to these other styles, the more I'm influenced, whether it just be subconsciously by staring at it to really researching it. So, amidst the museum, some of the stuff on display, especially like, the timeless styles that are like Japanese bodysuits, and that stuff that just looks good for so long. So as I look at that, I'm trying to be influenced by it, and take elements and transfer it into my own styles and work, as I always try to develop and change, new approaches and new angles on my artwork.
Right. Now, do you think that as you, so is it actually just sort of an exhibit that is showing these various different styles, or is there a historical piece that sort of shows the evolution of the art of tattooing?
It seems, I only walked through the exhibit one night on the pre-opening, and it seems it's more just showing the different styles more than the complete evolution. I think this exhibit talks a little bit about some ancient stuff from 5,000 years ago, but it looks like this particular exhibit just shows a little bit more highlighting the LA, in specific LA tattoo culture, Japanese culture, Polynesian culture. So it's kind of like separating some of the styles more than it is showing a timeline.
Right. Well, and then, of course, I know that you are working specifically on another brand new project that involves me. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I've been in tattooing for over 20 years. I've been getting them for 22 years exactly. And as much as I love it and as hard as I work at it and try to develop, new styles to actually do it, I've really been thinking for years, how can I do something that's needed in my industry? Try to be entrepreneurial. I always think of what kind of products and things I could be involved in and help with, and that's just kind of the creative side. But something that was really, and still is up until, you and I create this, it's really lacking is a tattoo care, the aftercare, the ointment, the sunscreen, anything related to caring for your artwork. There's a huge gap in our industry. There's companies that get recommended by artists that have nothing to do with the culture, and a little disconnected from the culture. And it's such I think it's like 1 in 5 people have tattoos now. And for me to be in shops 20 years, and there has not been a product specific for artists or by artists for consumers and artists alike, it really was blowing my mind. So, just meeting you and opening up the skincare world and your knowledge in skincare, it just really made sense to kind of talk with you and pursue this with you, and I'm so excited to get it going.
Yeah, so, and it is interesting because, there's, not only I mentioned at the beginning of the show, there's a little bit of a difference in our height, but there's a little bit of a difference in our age as well. And I have no tattoos anywhere. In fact, for many years I used to say, no lasers, no needles, no knives. However, I have succumbed to both the laser and the needle, but the extent of my tattoos is my eyebrows and my eyeliner, which I absolutely love. And as I was starting this project with Luke, and I'm learning more about the art form, and I'm touching his skin because I needed to better experience it. So we had a few touching experiences. Don't tell my husband, okay, Luke? But to be able to understand the texture and things like that, it occurred to me that I'm going to succumb here. I'm going to end up with a tattoo at the end of this project, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to break that to my husband.
We could set a goal or a marker that if we achieve, and then that would be the excuse.
Oh yeah. What I loved about this process, though, is really understanding from a skin perspective what are some of the issues. And you talked a little bit about, there's that one part of prepping. So what are some of the complications that get in the way as a tattoo artist to really being able to do a great job on a brand new fresh tattoo?
Well, there's so many variables involved, right? So you get the idea. So you work the client with the idea. You talk about what they want. They show you their references or their ideas. And so whatever the design you end up with is just the very beginning. So the choosing the idea, the placement, and then once you get to the person, the actual skin, there is so many different styles and types of skin involved with that. So a design that I put on one person can look completely, or can be so much more technically difficult than putting it on another person, the same design. Or the same person in a different part on their body because the skin elasticity is so much different and from one part of the body to another. So, you get older skin, you get paper skin, you get, a lot of African Americans keloid. There's so many layers to it to understand. So that's been one of my favorite things about talking with you about this whole thing and working with you, is just kind of getting to know more of a scientific aspect, because I see how they heal, and over 20 years I've seen, and I've learned things just from watching, but it's been really wonderful to kind of talk with you back and forth and some dermatologists that we're working with just to see the scientific aspects of it and how we can improve on that.
Right. All right, well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll share with you our creative process and how Luke and I go back and forth in talking about the world of tattooing, how it's evolving, and how we can help people who are wearing or would like to wear a tattoo. What are some of the interesting things that we're talking about? So stay with us. We will be right back.
Over here. Here's a secret for a virus-free computer. ESET. They've been a pioneer in the antivirus industry for over 25 years. 25 years of innovative, top-rated antivirus protection. ESET's award-winning security solutions provide a safe online experience for over 100 million home and business computer owners. They are so affordable, fast, and simple to use. So be gone, you blue screen of death. ESET's on my computer. If it's not on yours, visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on ESET now.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
What does HealthyLife.net and Amazon.com have in common? Well, they're both available on the Internet. They both give great value. But most important, most of our positive program hosts and guests are accomplished authors, and their books are available from, you got it, Amazon.com. Now, it even gets better than that, because when you're listening on air to a HealthyLife.net host or guest, you can go directly to Amazon.com, and you can order your book while you're still listening to your favorite HealthyLife.net program. So when you hear an author you like, go to the homepage of HealthyLife.net and click on Amazon.com.
Where positive people and radio unite. HealthyLife.net.
Hi there, welcome back. This is Patty Schmucker on RadioAMB with HealthyLife.net, and I am here with Luke Wessman. He is a celebrity tattoo artist. I keep wanting to say makeup artist, and he certainly isn't that, who I have had the distinct pleasure of getting to know over the last couple of years, and together we are working on a tattoo concept of bringing a brand to market in 2018 that will contribute to the world of tattooing. So, Luke, let's talk a little bit about how the world of tattooing has evolved in terms of the tools themselves, the inks and the appliances that you use. Have they evolved significantly over the years?
You know what? Along with what I was kind of saying earlier, there's a lot of stubbornness in the tattoo industry. So as a whole, they've kind of fought a lot of new things, which is really strange to me. But so the machines, I mean, even from, I think it was 1891 when the first patent came on the machine, actual the majority of tattoo machines have not changed since then.
Wow.
They've been, there's been variations of them, but the actual most classic tattoo machine goes that far back, and it's still being used today for the most part.
Wow.
It's crazy. There's a lot of kind of traditional culture where people really want to hold on to it. But having said that, there's a whole new crop of youngsters in the industry today that are looking for ways to improve technically more than anything, as the artistry has always been the big thing, to improve the artistry and the sensibility and the skill of an artist. Because I always say there's a half and half, where it's a craft and an art form. So you learn all the techniques, plus you learn as an artist how to design better.
Mm-hmm. Right. And what about the inks? Have they changed?
So the inks have just reverted to much more natural properties.
Mm-hmm.
I've never gotten into too much of the details, but I know that early on when I first started, there were art ink companies that were putting plastics and stuff in their inks to try to make colors brighter. They were trying to do the black light inks and things like that had a lot of unnatural properties that became a really nuisance to the healing of tattoos. So I think the industry was forced to go natural. So most of the inks nowadays are vegan or close to vegan, like completely natural products.
And so one of, as we look at someone going in there, as you said earlier, there's the design aspect and then there's the placement of it, but then there's the actual skin itself, and that becomes a palette. We talked a little bit about a preparation process. What are some of the things that are necessary that you look for in order to know that the skin is really ready to accept a tattoo?
I think one of the most important aspects is strong collagen, right? So you can kind of help me on that. I mean, that kind of breaks down as we get older, I believe. So strong collagen and exfoliation, I mean, those are kind of the main things that would start as, like, what our canvas looks like, how tough is the skin, how tight is the skin.
And what's really exciting, and I think part of our synergies in this brand, is to really realize that chemistry has come a long way, and our knowledge about how the cell works, how cells receive energy, and how that energy translates in the cell into keeping that cell vibrant. All of that knowledge is really knowledge that the industry, the cosmetic industry, has only gained in the last 10 or 15 years as DNA testing has become more viable, as the mapping of all of the chromosomes and the DNA in the body. All of that knowledge is really relatively new, and so we now have tools in terms of cosmetic chemistry that actually allow us to rebuild or strengthen collagen in the skin. And if you are working with skin that is taut and the fibers are tight, how does it change? Is it just accept the pigment better? Is that the reason why stronger skin tissue is the ideal?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of, I think, as the cells are I don't know how exactly it works scientifically, but so if it's a thin paper skin, the ink as it goes in can just kind of spread.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if is the collagen gone at that point, or it's just so, the structure of the epidermis is just like it feels loose.
Right. Well, the mortar that holds it together, and actually the fibers themselves. Our previous show we were talking about hair, and hair and skin are both made of collagen. In hair, it's called keratin because it's hardened collagen. But essentially, as that material, that fiber breaks down, it's like a sponge. A sponge, when it's brand new, it absorbs really quickly. It's got a stiff structure to it, and as it ages, those fibers begin to fall apart, and that's exactly what you're seeing with a thinner skin. And thin skin can happen because of aging. It can also be hereditary in terms of the lighter the skin pigment. A lighter skin person will tend to have a thinner skin than somebody that is darker. Although the opposite is true too in terms of the darkest and dark African American skin, and your really subculture territories in Africa, the darkest of dark skin is also very, very fragile and very, very thin. So lots and lots of factors that go on. When we, Luke, as we were beginning to talk about this, we talked first about that whole prep process. So anything that we can do, we're looking at being basically some preparational products that will help to exfoliate but also build up the collagen. But I loved our conversation around once you have actually started the tattoo, it's that process of healing. In the past, you guys have always recommended some kind of lubricant just to keep it hydrated. But what are some of the problems that you see with just the things that are on the market for lubricating during the time that the healing is taking place?
Well, I mean, the main problem is aside from just, there's a blockage that happens with some of the stuff. A lot of people apply too generously, and there's a lot of pimples that break out in areas, and people are trying so many different products that the tattoo isn't able to heal naturally. So it's getting clogged, it's getting blocked. So nothing that's there's nothing designed yet to really aid in the tattoo healing process. I mean, that I've found, in my 20 years. It's usually application, and then you hope that the client, once they go out there, don't use too much of the wrong stuff, because then they're coming back to get stuff fixed.
Right.
And there's a lot can happen in between, from when you do it to the 2 or 3 weeks to when it's healed. So.
And I'm particularly excited about this particular category. And as we wrap up this segment, I'll just give our audience a little bit of a hint that one of the things that we know from a scientific perspective is that in the healing process, the one thing you want to do to optimize the healing of the skin is never to allow a cut or a wound to scab. You want to create enough lubrication on the surface of the skin that rather than scabbing, it stays clean and fresh. So we're looking at products that have an antibacterial component to it, but is going to keep the skin lubricated so that that scar or that tissue heals without scar tissue. So that's particularly exciting. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about building your own brand and why Luke is doing this and some of the visions that we have for the brand. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com.
For all your live or pre-recorded webcasting needs, come to earthchannel.com. Get your web-based message out to a select group or the whole world. It's easy. A pioneer in webcasting, earthchannel.com provides the best products and services to big corporations and government users. And now this same technology is available to you. They have the best Earthcast encoders, servers, and products to meet your technical needs. But wait, don't want to mess with technical stress? No problem. They'll do it for you. EarthChannel.com is your answer. You can use webcasting for lots of things like advertising, marketing, customer support, training, and don't forget web radio and TV. In fact, you're listening to a live Earthcast right now. So come to EarthChannel.com. Actualize your audio or video webcasting needs today. You can't beat the friendly service or the price. Call EarthChannel.com at 1-800-849-8978. That's 1-800-849-8978.
We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap steak. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back. This is Patty Schmucker, and you're listening to RadioAMB on HealthyLife.net. I'm here with Luke Wessman, and who is a celebrity tattoo artist that I've had the opportunity to work with, and together we are working on a brand of products that are going to be specifically designed to help people who either want a tattoo or already have a tattoo. So, Luke, let's talk a little bit about building your own brand. Now, you've got one brand, which is your tattoo work that you do, but you have another brand, The Art of a Gentleman. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, yeah. So Lost Art of the Gentleman was just kind of it was an idea sparked from being a single man dating in New York City. I moved there and was single for the first time in my whole life in my mid-30s, and I was dating, and I've always thought of myself as someone with a strong moral compass and an observance of what's going on around me, and I just kind of focused on, and to preference that, it was a time when Instagram just started, so it was the Instagram boom, and it started to be a platform to put thoughts, ideas, photos, or photos and ideas around some thoughts. So I was dating, so I was just kind of leaning on the idea of promoting what I believe to be, to this day, ideas of morality and adulthood and manhood and feminism and social awareness. And so Lost Art of the Gentleman just became a platform for me to kind of express, my personal ideas of what, maybe the gentleman I'd like to be or hopefully am, and be an example, which is more relevant today than ever, I think, to what a good man is, or a good human even.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is interesting, and we'll talk more about that. But when you began putting some of those thoughts together, what are some of the important messages that you felt was part of the Lost Art of a Gentleman?
Classic things like chivalry, and classic things like paying attention to your children, teaching them the value and not the price, and, somewhat cliche things, but just really kind of packaged nicely, but there's so much, it's not really like one specific thing, but I think, having a good conscience and morality and integrity and all those words, actually putting those into practice. So I don't know that there would be like one, specific definition or even example. There's just so much, there's so much. And as we say, I'm a Freemason. I'm a Mason, and one of our main things is guard your actions. Mm-hmm. So it's acting in a manner that is respectable and full of good character, and really leaning on your good conscience.
In this, and of course, this. When did you begin developing the brand of the Lost Art of the Gentleman?
I started doing it probably 2013, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in light of the world that we're living in, and depending on when you're listening to this radio program, we are in the whirlwind environment here in the United States, in which all sorts of high-profile people, from politicians to entertainment to business. I just picked up the latest version of People magazine, and there is a 2-page spread of a list of all of the men who have been accused and or have taken responsibility and most not taking responsibility of some form of harassment in the market, in the workplace. And women there's the Me Too campaign that has erupted in social media, where women are finally stepping up and stepping out and saying something. I was delighted this week. For the first time, we are 11 months since the current president was elected, who had all sorts of accusations made against him, and all of those women went away after he was elected, and now they have voice. They are being heard. Nothing seems to me to be more relevant as a brand than this idea of the lost art of a gentleman. When you began talking about that 4 years ago, what kind of response would you get from other males as you began talking about some of these concepts?
So there was definitely some kind of soft pushback, that quote-unquote boys club is very prominent in our world, even today, you know what I mean? Now, obviously, everyone's really watching what they do and say, but, I mean, we all grew up, especially me, almost 40, and I grew up in an environment of a boys club where it was cool to be a misogynistic man, to, sleep around, to mistreat women, and not always outright, but sometimes more subconsciously. But I think out of all this, that generation really, I think, was full of it, and I think we've just hit the very tip of the iceberg here. I think we're going to be shocked on all the other. I mean, we had Bill Cosby, we had Matt Lauer, we had all these, prominent figures in our upbringing, and I think that's just the tip of the iceberg, unfortunately. What that's going to do, though, is it's really going to, it's changing our culture now. This is changing our culture for the better, and it's, these brave women coming out, these men that are standing behind them and supporting, and I think ultimately this is it's a really uncomfortable time for a lot of creeps, and I think that's a pretty good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is when a watershed moment occurs, it does take a while. I'm of that age where I was in my probably early 30s when Anita Hill testified against Clarence Thomas. For those of you that don't understand that history, Anita Hill was a lawyer, and she worked at the Justice Department, I believe, with Clarence Thomas, who was being nominated to the Supreme Court. And she had experienced sexual harassment from him in a hostile work environment. And when he was being nominated to the Supreme Court, she stepped up and she testified and said, hey, this person does not deserve to be on the Supreme Court, and this is the reason why. And we heard it. We allowed her to testify. Our society allowed her, and we were spellbound for the days that she testified. Our country was at a standstill. But what I thought was really interesting for me as a woman in my probably mid-30s was the next day after she testified, there was a difference in the way that men showed up. They either showed up very aware and apologetic to me because they knew, based on her testimony, that the way that they had treated me in that work environment was wrong, or they showed up with a complete, I have no idea who Anita Hill is, or the third that showed up was saying, you think that's sexual harassment? Let me show you what sexual harassment is. And for some of us, it got worse rather than getting better. So it'll be very interesting to see. We're going to take a break, but it'll be very interesting. I want to talk a little bit more about what do you say to women in the workplace today as we begin to see this shift in the mores of our society. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap steak. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
Oh, man, it never fails. My suitcase just got ripped apart.
Life is a journey. Make it a pleasant one. Use Samsonite. You know the name. For almost a century, Samsonite luggage has proved itself to be the worldwide leader in innovative travel solutions. Let it be yours. Visit HealthyLife.net's affiliate Samsonite on our homepage and click to look at the fine luggage from suitcases to golf travel bags. And don't forget, take a look at their travel accessories. Make life a journey, a pleasant one, with Samsonite.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
Hey, thanks for staying with us. This is Patty Schmucker, your host here at RadioAMB on HealthyLife.net. And I'm here with Luke Wessman, who is a celebrity tattoo artist who is working with me to bring to market a brand of products that are going to be specifically designed for people who want and have tattoos. So, Luke, we've been talking a little bit about the world of tattooing, which is a world that has evolved. I mean, it was really taboo for many, many years to, be able to get a job. People said you can't tattoo and that kind of stuff. It's a change in society that has occurred. And we were talking before the break about what's happening with regards to this situation with so many people coming forward and talking about sexual harassment in the workplace. What do you say, because as a male, I love being able to have this conversation with you. As a male, when a female finds herself in a situation where she is in a hostile work environment like that, what do you recommend? What do you think that a woman should do or say to protect herself?
I mean, I guess that's been one of the hardest things, right? The catch-22, where and historically women were afraid to say something because they'd lose their position, and the men had the position of power held over them. But I think now women are taking that respect. They're taking that respect back, and I think the louder they are, the better it's going to be. And it may be something that's uncomfortable for a minute, but it's ultimately it's really forcing this change in our society, and it's going to make that workplace full equal. Like the equality that was lacking in the the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, and even now it's all being forced to change by these strong women that are coming out. And I tattooed this girl the other day, and she was a teacher and just a frail young girl, and I did this really big rose on her hip, and I said, "Really, you want to go this big?" And I'm like, "Why do you want to go so big?" And she said, "I want to be bold."
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is what's happening with the women today, and it's unfortunate that they have to do it, but it's wonderful because they're making change. They're making change for themselves and ultimately for us all, because I'm a firm believer in total equality, human on human, without any gender-based judging, and it's the emboldening of women is going to force us all to be better people.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think there's that balance because it's important to be bold, and it's also to be the things that you talked about in The Lost Art of a Gentleman. I'd actually would say that there's a companion brand to that, and that is The Lost Art of Being Human, which is respect and courtesy and compassion and all of those kinds of things. I definitely want women to take care of themselves. I mean, as a woman almost at the age of 60, the way we took care of ourselves was that if we had a creep that was creating an environment, I was strong in creating a hostile environment, I was bold and strong enough and had my moral compass in place so that I knew when to giggle and blow it off, walk away, and if I was too threatened, I'd tell somebody to back the truck up, and hold my ground. But it's also the other side is women being responsible to also not make big mountains out of molehills. There's no reason to blow things out of proportion. So some of that balance has to take place. And as we talk in this show, we're talking about how society is changing. I think it's interesting that change happens slowly, but when it happens, it will never go back to being the same. And I think that's probably true with regards to this issue about the hostile workplace, but also with regards to tattooing. How exciting that tattooing is becoming mainstream enough that it is in a public museum that you'll be at this next week showing what you do.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, change and openness. It creates a lot of new space.
And when you think about, you've been, like you said earlier in the show, you've been tattooing for 22 years. It seems like it's a very intimate, talk about that environment. What do you do or what do you find in terms of creating that intimacy with both men and women? The kinds of conversations that you have, I would think, from the many hours that you're involved in doing a tattoo, that it could be pretty intimate.
Oh, yeah, I leave a tattoo session kind of looking back going, wow, I feel like a therapist today, and I jump right into people's lives, and I personally just think it's wonderful, I'm in a place to gain empathy on all levels because I'm learning about every single client's life, whether it be for a half hour or 6 hours or a 40-hour back piece. I'm really connecting with another human, and I really respect the intimate space of a tattoo. It's so many more levels just than art, but it's all revolving around the art.
And do you feel that connection on a human basis has allowed you to develop the stronger moral compass as a gentleman?
Yeah, I think so. I think empathy is probably one of the more important things that a lot of us don't necessarily all have, putting the shoe on the other foot, seeing someone else's lives, and understanding them. And I think, with our society and its current administration and everything that's going on, empathy is probably one of the more important things that we can all kind of try to get more of. And I get that by talking to people and sitting down with people.
And what do you say to your fellow boys club members who all they've known is how to function based on the old mores? How do you bring them into the modern era of being compassionate and having empathy?
I think the best thing for me, the best thing has always just been lead by an example. It's hard to preach at people and change people by words. Action seems to change better. So, obviously not feeding any fire and jumping in and making someone feel comfortable in a locker room type talk and actually making them uncomfortable, I think, and just leading by examples.
Right. Well, it's some of the reasons why I'm delighted to call you partner and to have an opportunity to explore this new brand with you, where we will have an opportunity to maybe lead by example with regards to the art of tattooing and how it can be a pleasurable experience, and expressing the art form of your individuality can be an even better experience. So thanks for taking the time to share with us today and for joining me on this journey to make this new brand.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm honored to work with such a wonderful professional, and someone that knows a lot of stuff that I don't.
And vice versa. All right, well, that's going to do it for us today. Keep your eye on Luke and I as we develop this amazing brand, and thanks for being with us today. Next week, I have no idea who we have on the show, but it will be great, so don't miss it. I'm Patty Schmucker. Thanks for listening to Radio AMB, where we think pretty is pretty important in all things in beauty.
For all your live or pre-recorded webcasting needs, come to earthchannel.com. Get your web-based message out to a select group or the whole world. It's easy. A pioneer in webcasting, earthchannel.com provides the best products and services to big corporations and government users. And now this same technology is available to you. They have the best Earthcast encoders, servers, and products to meet your technical needs. But wait, don't want to mess with technical stress? No problem. They'll do it for you. EarthChannel.com is your answer. You can use webcasting for lots of things like advertising, marketing, customer support, training, and don't forget web radio and TV. In fact, you're listening to a live Earthcast right now. So come to EarthChannel.com. Actualize your audio or video webcasting needs today. You can't beat the friendly service or the price. Call EarthChannel.com at 1-800-849-8978. That's 1-800-849-8978.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need, from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Obstacle racing. You know you want to try it. Well, try Reebok's Spartan Race, the global leader in obstacle racing. With 4 different race levels, their goal is to get you up off the couch and throw you into the mud and on the trails to give you the adrenaline rush of your life. Obstacle courses are designed to test your resilience, strength, stamina, quick decision-making skills, and give you the ability to laugh in the face of adversity. Visit HealthyLife.net advertiser page and click on Spartan Race.
HealthyLife.net, the Positive Radio Network.